Here now is Matt Austin and Ginger Gadsden with Florida's Fourth Estate.
Hey everyone, welcome to Florida's Fourth Estate. We're going to say a lot of things today. You can't unhear it, and you won't unsee it. I'm Ginger Gadsden.
Wow, that was the best
I don't know.
tease we've ever done.
I don't even know.
I don't know
what
either.
we're gonna do.
I don't know, but I'm
Let's
excited.
find out.
My name's Matt Austin. Ginger's going to be full of surprises today. We have quite the character for
That's
us.
what I think we're going to say and do some things. I don't know.
I don't even think she's sure of what she's
Let's
talking
see how
about.
it works out.
It's going to be fun. So this guy is interesting, okay? He is the host of the #1 morning show in Central Florida.
Big deal.
He's been doing it for decades. Very big deal.
From Orlando, Florida, Triple R, Russ Rollins.
And when you hear about him and when you see him, he's kind of like, he's got this huge voice and he's got these wide shoulders and you're like thinking, man, this is kind of an intimidating guy. And then you meet him and he is one of the warmest people you'll ever come across.
I thought you were describing yourself at first, but you clearly are not.
Well,
you said
know,
the wide shoulder.
I mean, we're
thing,
very
and I was
similar.
like, no,
we're very
no,
similar
not
in this
that.
way. So let's get Russ Rollins in here with the Monsters in the Morning, and everybody knows who he is. Russ, thanks so much for joining us for Florida's Sports.
I am honored to be invited. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yeah.
You're such an interesting character, and Matt talks about you quite a bit, especially lately, because I know you've been on his radio show recently talking about some things.
It was a great time.
Yeah, and just listening to you and seeing your body of work. I think the first thing I want to know from you, because you have been doing this a long time.
30 years this year.
Okay, so
Yeah.
someone who is doing something for 30 years, almost anything for 30 years, you got to be really good at it, and you have to be able to adapt. What has been your secret to success?
Well, I mean, I think adapting is the part of it. You have to change, you know, throughout the length of the career. We were a certain way when we started, and then as you get older, you have to change a little bit, you know. But I think, I mean, the secret to success is just I really enjoy what I do.
So I got your name in there for Meth Gator 2.
Well, they haven't contacted me. Did you give them my email address? Don't give them my iHeart email address.
She just got back to me this morning, and she said that my character is Skylar. I'm a gator hunting meth head, along with my brother Twain.
I might have to fight her.
I enjoy entertaining people. When I was a kid, I always wanted to be in radio. I was a kid that would get in trouble with my mom because I would hide a little radio under my pillow, and at 11 o'clock at night, an 8-year-old kid listening to talk radio, and she's like, "Why are you listening to that?" And turn it off. And I even still have the radio I used to listen to. It was like a little round thing that opened up. But I used to love talk radio, and I always dreamed about being a talk radio host. So to me, it's like an honor to still be doing it. I really love it.
That's crazy from the age of 8, because I was going to ask you, like, did radio choose you or did you choose radio?
No, crazy story. My father had an equipment rental store, and I hated all that stuff because it was dirty, you know, like chainsaws and oil. So I thought, well, I'll do whatever the family is doing. So I started a party rental company where we rented tables and chairs and tents and, you know, weddings. And I'm like, I kind of like that. So I did that at first. But then I had a salesperson come in one day for my business. I'd been doing my business for about 10 years. And the guy came in and said, hey, if you want to do radio, you know, for, what was it, $100, you can talk about whatever you want on Saturday morning for an hour. And I'm like, I'll start this week. And it was Thursday. I'll do it on Saturday. And me and my best friend, I said, we're going to do this. This will be great. And so for the first 3 years, I paid $100 an hour to go in and basically learn how to do radio. And I started off by, anyone who calls, we're gonna give you something. And we gave away prizes to anyone that would call.
Oh my
and
gosh.
within 6 months, we had the #1 show in Saturday morning at 6 o'clock. Now that's, you know,
Hey, there's still some competition there.
There was a Garden Rebel guy we had to beat, but yeah. So that's how I started. I just always wanted to do it, and I paid my way into it at first. Yeah.
Wow, so you were doing something completely different.
Had my own business, and it was actually really successful until I started thinking about radio.
Yeah.
And then I took my eye off the ball of the party company, and it started to. I mean, matter of fact, funny story. Okay, was he here or somewhere else? I think it was whoever did this is a terrible story, but it's true. Whoever did, when you go out and you catch people that are doing things really bad in business, the gotcha.
Oh, like an investigator.
Investigative reporter.
Okay,
right. Okay, so I'm doing the radio and I'm forgetting about my business, and we rented something to a church, a dunk tank, and it didn't work.
Say less.
Yeah.
No, keep going.
And so the guy comes in with the camera, and they're like, they didn't get their money back, and I'm like, Chris, I don't have the money to pay him back right now, but I promise I will. And the guy cut the camera. He goes, "Oh man, I feel really bad doing this to you." And I don't think they end up running the story. But point being is that when I lost focus on my business, it started to really do terrible. And then my business caught on fire. And when it caught on fire, I lost about $500,000 worth of equipment and stuff. And I'm like, okay, I'm either going to go back into business or go full-time into radio.
Oh, wait a minute. When you say caught on fire, you mean flames?
Like real flames. like a real fire.
Are you?
No, like real fire. I'm sitting in my house, someone knocks on the door, goes, "Russ, Party World's on fire." And I go up there, and inside I'm going, "Oh, this sucks, but maybe I don't have to do Party World anymore. Maybe I can just do radio." And I lost a lot of money, and I ended up paying back all the people that I owed money to because I could have claimed bankruptcy. I didn't do it. I ended up over years paying them all back, and probably the dumbest thing I've ever done because nobody really cared that I paid them back. I'd do it for my pride or because my dad thought I'd be a good guy.
This is the right thing.
The right thing to do. If I would have gone back, I probably would have done like everybody else.
No, it's a good thing you did that because you're so big time now. People would be like, "That's that guy who had that party business," and I never.
It's funny you say that. One of the people that it was the popcorn place. I can't remember the name of it now, but anyway, they owned the place where I got all my popcorn concessions, and I saw them at an event, and he's like, "I'm never gonna forget that you paid me back, Russ." So good point. Karma, I guess.
Okay, so now you're committed. The bridge behind you is burned.
Yes.
Literally.
Yes.
And radio is all you have to do. Is this when you start Russ and Bo? Is that the first iteration?
Well, it was Russ and Bo from the beginning. The first time we paid $100 to go to WGTO, it was Russ and Bo. That's my best friend. I've known him since high school, junior high school. He lived with us. He's like part of the family. So that was Russ and Bo. And then my sister was married to this guy named Jim, who ends up being Dirty Jim.
Oh, wow.
And so he begs me to, let me come on and do the show with you. And I'm like, Bo and Jim did not get along. I'm like, come on, Bo, he's my brother-in-law, come on. So we finally let Jimmy come along, and it was the best thing in the world because we all saw everything differently, and we would argue about stuff. And at that time, that kind of radio wasn't being done. I mean, I know Howard Stern was popular, but not in Orlando yet. We were the first really big ensemble, and we would argue and fight and do all kinds of crazy stuff that people didn't expect on the radio, and it was fun.
And now Jim Colbert also is a big deal in the market.
Yeah, that's Dirty Jim. He's now Jim Colbert, and he's moved on to have his own show in the afternoon.
Yeah, so it was like kind of the shock jock era, maybe, or were you?
Yeah.
Before that.
No, we were the definition of it in Central Florida. We were what defined it. I'd be embarrassed to tell you some of the stuff that we did.
Oh boy.
we did.
Don't.
No,
you stop that. Go ahead.
No, don't be embarrassed.
One of the first things, wouldn't this be great? I saw a story somewhere where there was somebody that wouldn't accept money for something, for some donation. I'm like, let's do this. Let's do a topless car wash, and then we'll donate the money to breast cancer. Let's see what happens.
Oh gosh. Oh wow!
So we put it together. We got these girls from Club Juana to do it, and I had the tent company, right? So I put the tent sides around this big area, and I'm like, I don't need to put the tops on. It's hot. We'll just, so nobody can see in. You drive the car in. The women can wash, get the donation, and drive out. Well. Didn't think about this. The place that we did it was on Lee Road, right down the street here. Okay. And at the corner, there was like a bar that was there.
Okay.
We had the sides up. Everything was all good. People would drive in, not thinking about there was a hotel, 3-story hotel, right next door.
Right down.
I was thinking helicopter.
No. So the MBI gets video of it. Oh my God, we almost got arrested, almost got.
So you had a topless car wash.
No, they were topless. Oh yeah, no top,
no top.
on the top.
Yeah.
There were no tops anywhere.
In retrospect, it was a bad idea.
I mean, your heart seemed to be in the right place.
It was.
Let's go with that.
It was in the right place.
Stay with us as we dive into an incident that could have cost Rollins everything, but actually ended up catapulting his radio career. More with the man behind the Monsters in the Morning. Welcome back to Florida's Fourth Estate. We've been sitting down with the man behind Monsters in the Morning. Russ Rollins is pulling back the curtain, exposing how he got to where he is today. Let's get back at it.
Because in the 90s, there was a whole other big blow up. When I was on your show, you started telling me this story in a break, and I was
This
like...
is around the same time. This is a true story.
Was it really?
Around the same time. Actually, it was right after the topless car wash. There was... I'm watching her face.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if she's heard this one.
That's a true story.
Oh, boy.
There was a
crazy.
book that was very popular back in the 90s, and it was to kind of bring around awareness about children who are being abused. And there was this book called Ursula Sunshine Assad, and the author of the book wanted to come in on the show and talk about it. Well, we were open for anything. We didn't just do, didn't just do topless stuff. We could talk about something that was serious. Mm-hmm. She came in to talk about this particular book, and it is a horrific true story of this 8-year-old girl who was tied up to a tree, starved to she did starve to death. They ended up killing her, and the mother didn't do anything because she was afraid to say anything, and the boyfriend is the one that murdered the kid. Terrible, terrible story. So we start talking about, well, where's this guy now? And what is his name? Can't remember his name right now. This guy was due to get out of prison in the next 3 months because of gain time. He had earned so much gain time, even though he murdered this girl. Yeah. And we're like, how can this guy get out of prison? That's ridiculous. That should never happen. Let me read to you what he did to this girl. And I read it, slow so you could understand how horrible this guy, and trying to make the point that he should never get out of prison. Not realizing that he was in prison in our area, and all the inmates were listening to the story.
So they all have is time.
So one of the prisoners goes out into the yard, gets a horseshoe stake, beats the hell out of him, and said, "I'm doing this for Russ and Bo."
Oh God!
Kills him in our name, right? It becomes national news. We were in Time magazine. I went to do the Lisa Gibbons show because they were like, talk radio committed a murder. Well, murdered a child. He murdered a child, abuser, and he raped her, the whole thing. Oh. So nobody was really mad at us, but the media was really trying to make us look really, really bad. We were in huge trouble there for that before. But it got us in the national spotlight, and from that point on, we were already #1 on Saturday mornings, but they increased our time, and then we were like #1 in anything we did because we had a lot of attention. And so after that, we went and we thought it would be the right thing to do if anyone molests a child, they should be chemically castrated. We're like, there's no reason. Let's do them a favor and let's make sure that they don't have sexual feelings for a kid. Let's do them a favor and chemically castrate them. So we got 80,000 petitions signed. And the guy who owned the radio station at the time, who wanted to distance themselves from us, but we're doing this great thing, so he sends down the helicopter to fly me and Bo up to Tallahassee to deliver the petitions. Mm-hmm. It passed as a law. Like, it's a law now that a judge can, they doesn't have to, and that's where they changed the wording, can chemically castrate any child molester when they get out of prison. It's only happened twice since we changed that law or whatever. And it was my understanding at the time it would be mandatory. If you molest a child, you're chemically castrated. Mm-hmm. But they had to water it down in order to get it to pass. But that was another national news thing as well.
Okay, so I mean, in this business, when we broadcast, we understand the importance and the weight of our words.
Yeah, I didn't.
Okay, I was going to ask you.
We were just in radio. I had no idea. I'm telling this. I had to learn that when you tell a story, and I'm just be honest with you, I don't say hammed it up, but I really was trying to drive it home. Like, hey, this was a horrible thing this guy did, and it was a little overboard probably, and it really tugged at people's, and these, I understand one guy killed him, but there were 50 that were wanting to, and it was really, really insightful. We also had some other things that happened. I had to learn, you got to back off some of that stuff, because we had another fake thing that we did. Sometimes we do skits and radio bits or whatever, and we had a fake radio bit, and this was young in my career, and this is going to sound even stupid now, but we had a guy, we were setting up a wrestling match, right? So we had a guy on the show, Bubba Whoop-Ass Wilson is his name, and we did this whole thing, like, at the time, UPS was on strike, so everybody, all the callers were mad at UPS, so like, okay, we'll have Bubba is going to go against the UPS guy, right? And so we're doing this whole thing, and like, oh, these UPS guys attacked Bubba, he's in the hospital. Well.
Oh, gosh.
Hundreds of people show up at the hospital to take flowers to Bubba. And I'm like, oh God, I thought they realized that it was wrestling, it wasn't real. And so we've had, a lot of learning.
What in the world?
A lot of learning curves.
Wow.
Was this your brainchild, all of these, the topless and the UPS wrestling? Like,
can I tell you, so if you look at that thread that I put on Facebook, hey, he might have some questions. One of the things, like, where do you come up with your ideas? This is the true story. They all come to me in a dream. Like, I'll dream something. Like, I had a dream about something 2 days ago that we're going to implement. I'll dream about it and then wake up. I'm like, oh, that's a pretty good idea. And now sometimes it's not a good idea, but it seemed like it was great in the dream.
Some crazy dreams he's having.
I have crazy dreams.
Did you have any dreams about us before you had?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I had the dream of the story I wanted to tell you if you asked me. I already got it in my head. I already got the punchline ready.
Oh,
like that's how, and that's my day after day after day. Like, I'll think about what's gonna, that's why I told you for my vacation to be able to totally unplug and not have the dreams that are telling me what I got to talk about tomorrow.
Wow.
Is nice.
You can't shut it off.
No. Oh, you can't.
In Cancun.
In Cancun, you did. But I mean, for your business purposes, you are on 5 hours?
5 hours a day, 5 days a week.
I mean, that is a load.
By the way, no music. I mean, and it's nothing against other radio shows, but when other radio shows are competing against us, they've got, like, a Lizzo with them, and they've got, this is us making up.
No dance breaks.
No dance breaks. It's just us making up stuff
a lot
for 5
of content.
hours.
Yeah.
Do
you feel the weight of that sometimes, or
I used to. I don't anymore. I've got a great cast of people. And I know that sounds cliche or whatever, but I know for a fact I wouldn't be where I'm at if I didn't always have a great cast of people. Everyone that's ever been on the show has been super talented. I won't let people stick around if they can't roll with the punches or whatever. And in 30 years, there's been a lot of. It's like like Saturday Night Live. You have all these cast members. Mm-hmm. A lot of them have come through and gone on to do other things, and without them, I mean, I wouldn't be able to do it. But I used to be afraid about somebody leaving. Like, oh my God, what are we gonna do if this popular person leaves? And now I realize someone else will come in, we'll change the format a little bit, change it, and make it work.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I mean, so it started off as Russ and Bo. Most of these radio show names are after the person who now yours is Monsters in the Morning.
That's a funny story. It was Russ and Bo, and with Dirty Jim. And at the time, we knew Bo was about to spin out. I love my best friend, but we've talked about this before. It's not. I'm not dissing him, but he ended up developing, let's say, a party problem, and we saw it coming. So one of the managers was like, "Hey, you need to change the name of the show because it's not going to be Russ and Bo very long." Like, okay, we'll do a bit on the air, and we'll come up with a good generic name because it's not just me, it's the whole cast. And they're like, nah, we'll just call it the Russ Rollins Show. I'm like, I think it's disrespectful to everybody else. So we stuck with it was Monsters in the Midday, after Monsters of the Midway thing.
Yeah.
Monsters of the Midday, and then we moved to morning, so we stuck with Monsters in the Morning. And I've had people say, hey, why don't you just change it to the Russ Rollins Show? You're the only one that's still there. But I like it being generic like that because everybody is important, and it is cliche just to call the show your name. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I understand for some people, like, well, I want to make sure that I'm valuable to the market. But I think people know who I am.
Right. At this point, you're not.
After 30 years.
Yeah. So.
Russ Rollins, check him out. Monsters in the Morning. If you've never heard of this guy, he just got here. Then you moved from Alaska.
It's really nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you too. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much,
Of course, man.
Awesome. That was great.
That was easy.
Oh, man. I made it really easy.
I could have gone for 5 more hours.
I know. I know you could.
We could.
Now we're like, oh.
And thank you for